The spaceship lay in the valley, just as reported. Lon and Jenny could see it from the ridge. Lon finally said, "We'll keep going. We'll go further into the hills. T𝚑𝚎 Canyon. There's a stream there." And when they reached T𝚑𝚎, Lon turned slowly. Her eyes were unblown tinder, smoking, not yet aflame. They wouldn't flame. That was her way. She was his wife. She had followed from the shining city when the bombs from the space began to fall, and the great black columns of smoke were monuments in the sky. She had skinned her hands helping with the cabin logs, washing clothes in the stream. She had bloodied them butchering game. When they reached T𝚑𝚎, Lon shrugged. I know. I shouldn't have said that. It's too big to think about." The twinkle of light down the slope caught his eye. It was only a few hundred yards below. His eyes darted in that direction, and he squinted and saw the figures moving up toward them. The light had been a reflection. "Come on, Jenny. To the cabin." No, we'll have to leave the cabin. They'll discover it in a day or so. T𝚑𝚎 Canyon." They stared north. He glanced back once more at the thing in the valley. There on the dry plain. It was longer than a city block, projectile-shaped, mirror-bright. It was about what he had expected. The radio reports in the past month had been full of descriptions of the others. One by one, the radio reports had stopped as the cities had fallen. They kept to the ridge, but stayed within the tree shadows. It was cooler in the shadows. They did not run, but walked with long strides. At the north end of the ridge, Lon and Jenny headed downslope. The mouth of the t𝚑𝚎 Canyon, a break in the mountains to their right, was only a mile or so ahead. They heard the report of a weapon, releasing echoes that tumbled all through the hills. The report came from the ridgetop behind them, and they knew the hunters were following. At the bottom of the slope, they came to a dry stream bed. Lon jumped across, then held out his hand for Jenny. She missed. She fell, twisting her ankle. He helped her along, with his hand around her waist. He saw how she kept the pain from showing. She quirked her lips in a funny way each time her injured foot touched the ground, and kept her face rigid otherwise. He remembered what she had said nearly a year ago, when the invading things first came out of the sky. Aircraft had lanced upward to meet them, firing. Several of the things had been destroyed. Lon and Jenny had seen one explode over the city. It made a great orange ball in the air, and the ball grew and turned over and over, and smoke curled around it like shriveled skin. Jenny said, "Those poor things, those poor creatures in there." And then they had fled. Another shot sounded, and this time it was terribly near. He dared to turn his head. The hunters were halfway down the shoulder of the ridge. They jested and called to each other. In here, he led Jenny into a groove of white-barked trees. Jenny's lips were tight, but a whimper forced its way through. He held her more tightly, lifting. His heart stuttered violently. His legs ached. Jenny, fragile Jenny, was heavy. He stumbled, and she fell with him. They lay there, at the roots of a white-barked tree, in each other's arms, and they looked into each other's eyes, and they knew they couldn't go on. They heard the shouting voices. She said, "I don't feel anything funny. I'm not angry or afraid or anything." They clung to each other suddenly. He ran his lips along her cheeks and hair, and he wiped the tears from her cheeks with his own, and he murmured things without really hearing them. "I'm glad we're together," said Jenny. A creature emerged from the white-barked trees. He stood there and stared at Lon, and stared at Jenny upon the ground. He seemed a little frightened himself. He lifted his weapon. Lon stared back, taking in every strange detail. It was his first close look at one of these invaders from the planet called Earth, which was third from the sun and had one moon. He waited for the noise of the weapon, wondering if he would hear it.